Today, we're going to be talking about Stoicism and how a couple of questions inspired by an ancient Greek philosophy can help you create a ridiculously amazing marriage. Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy designed to make the practitioner more resilient, happier, more virtuous, more courageous, and more wise. Some of history's greatest leaders were Stoics. Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, George Washington, Theodore Roosevelt, and more recent people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Brady, Bill Clinton, and the prominent author Ryan Holiday, who's one of my favorite authors. Now, the foundation of Stoicism is built on 4 virtues: courage, which is the ability to be brave; temperance, which is the ability to practice moderation and self-control; justice, which is always doing what's right and dealing fairly with others; and wisdom, which is truth and understanding. When practiced, these virtues help us to remain focused on what's truly important in life and unlock our potential. Now, I'm a firm believer that if you really want to have an incredible marriage, you're going to practice the principles of Stoicism, whether it's intentional or not. So today, I'm going to share 10 powerful questions based on the principles of Stoicism that can help you be a better person and a better partner in your relationship. Now, these questions were curated by a Reddit user by the name of Dickie Bush, which is a weird name, but he put them all together, and I thought I would share them with you. So the very first question is, how am I complicit in creating the conditions that I say I don't want? This is a powerful question. And when you answer it honestly, it's going to expose you to all sorts of uncomfortable truths. It's going to help you identify areas of your life where you might be talking the talk, but you're not really walking the walk. It's easy to commit to doing something that's going to make your life better and then fail to do those things out of laziness or forgetfulness or procrastination or even just simple avoidance. Now, when you stop lying to yourself, you can learn a lot about how you can get out of your own way so that you can stop perpetuating your own problems and live a more fulfilled life. The second question is, where am I feeling the resistance? Now, the resistance is a concept that was introduced by an author named Steven Pressfield in his book, The War of Art. Now, what triggers the resistance is any time that you choose to avoid immediate gratification in favor of pursuing some sort of long-term gains. You feel this resistance when you put your phone down to clean the house, or you feel the resistance when you try to turn off your video game so that you can go work out, or maybe when you try to stop watching YouTube so that you can get out and go on your date night. The areas where you feel and then succumb to the resistance are clues to areas of your life where you can adjust your behavior in order to have the life or the relationship that you want. The third question is, what could I do to make today horrible? Now, this question leverages this interesting principle. It's a psychological principle called the inversion principle. Avoiding a poor decision is way easier than making the right decision sometimes. So instead of thinking of everything that you want to accomplish in a day, think of what are the couple of things that you could do today that would make it horrible, and then just avoid doing those things. The fourth question is, where am I making things more complex than they need to be? Now, it's human nature to overanalyze our problems and our struggles. Overcomplicating life just creates stress and anxiety and burnout, and it keeps us stuck in problems that we could easily solve. So asking yourself this question will help you stay focused on taking action and keeping you from getting caught in analysis paralysis. The fifth question is, what would this look like if it were easy? I love this question. So a while back, I interviewed Celeste Davis. She writes for a website called Marriage Laboratory. And in the interview, she said, what if the words I don't know were eliminated from your vocabulary? What possibilities would arise for you? Sometimes we get in our own way by assuming that our own problems are above our pay grade. We get mired in the complexity and end up feeling defeated, and we feel exhausted and burned out. But what if this thing that you were facing was easy? What if you did know what to do? What if you had the answers? How would things be different? When you give yourself permission to make the answers easy, it's amazing how many of your problems become solvable, or at the very least, manageable. Question number 6 is, what if I did the opposite in every area of my life? Do you ever get stuck in a funk? Maybe it just feels like the routine you've developed isn't working for you anymore. So what if you just started doing everything backwards? Like, what if you started doing date night on Monday night instead of Friday night? Or what if you started having morning sex instead of nighttime sex? Or what if you swapped chores? If you're normally the one who cooks the meals and your partner does the yard, switch it up. Is your partner the one who always initiates sex? Why don't you try being the instigator of affection? See what happens when you mix things up. You might discover something truly magical. The seventh question is, if I could only work for 4 hours this week, what would I work on? Do you glorify busyness? Now, I know I do. I like to stay busy, and sometimes I wear it as a badge of honor. Sometimes I literally spend hours working, and then at the end of the day, I try to figure out what I've accomplished, and for the life of me, I can't figure out what I've spent the last 8 hours doing. The same thing often happens in my marriage. Now, my wife and I will spend time together, but it's not always quality time. We've killed many hours in front of the TV or sitting on the couch together while both on our phones. And sure, we're spending time together, but is it quality time? So if you could only see each other for a few minutes every single day, maybe 4 hours a week, how would you want to spend that time together? How would it be best used? So if you could only see each other for a few minutes every day, maybe a few hours every week, how would you want to spend that time together? How would that time be spent differently than the time that you spend together now? Now, how can you do more of that? It's a great question. Question number 8 is, how could I achieve my 10-year goals in 6 months? Now, this question is a really fun one to answer because it forces you to get creative. When you think in extremes, it helps you kind of get away from the self-imposed limitations that we put on ourselves. The answers might be completely unrealistic, but you'll be surprised at how often some of your ideas are totally doable, or at the very least, they can help accelerate your goals. Have a desire to pay off your house? Maybe you want to retire early? Maybe you want to start your own business together? Or maybe you want to build up a college fund for your kids? Get creative, compound time. See what happens if you ask yourself this question. Question number 9 is, how would the type of person I want to become handle this? Now, we all have an ideal that we're striving for. We know that there's a better version of ourselves trying to get out on a day-to-day basis. When you ask yourself this question, you get free advice from a better version of you from the future than you are right now. Now, sometimes when you consult your ideal future self, when you're dealing with a conflict or a personal challenge or a new opportunity, that will bring out the very best in you right now. Now, the 10th and last question is, what would I do if it was impossible for me to fail? This is a fun question that I think we've all heard before. Fear, honestly, is paralyzing. It keeps us from taking action, from taking risks, or from trying something new. We often put limitations on ourselves because we are afraid we're going to fail. Now, when you take the option of failure off the table, it's amazing how differently you choose to live your life, even if it's just in theory. What conversations would you have if you couldn't fail? What kind gestures would you make towards other people if you couldn't fail? What habits would you develop? What traditions would you implement? What changes would you make to yourself? When you take failure off the table, the world becomes your oyster. So I hope these questions spark some ideas of how you could more quickly become the best partner that you could be. I recommend you take a step back and maybe spend time journaling on these questions to see if any really cool insights come to you. Stoicism is an amazing philosophy to live your life by. So if you want to learn more about it, I want you to check out my favorite book on modern day Stoicism by Ryan Holiday. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. And if you want more podcasts and videos and messages like this to help you strengthen your marriage and be the best partner that you can be, make sure that you are subscribed. Look, I am a firm believer that most couples don't need therapy to have a great marriage. But it's incredibly rare that you'll ever get the type of marriage that you're capable of without a little bit of guidance and encouragement. There's just too much working against you. Whether it's the fact that you didn't grow up with good examples of marriage, or the terrible stuff that we get exposed to from Hollywood and reality TV, or just the fact that you're two imperfect humans trying to create an amazing life together, even though nobody has ever taught you how to do that. Now, I'm a firm believer that working on your marriage shouldn't have to feel like work. And that's exactly why I created the Epic Marriage Club. Here's how it works. You get regular monthly workshops and trainings from the top marriage experts in the world. Then every single week, I transform those lessons into an actionable experiment that we'll do together, because you only get results when you take action. And you'll be doing these experiments with an amazing community of awesome couples that care as much about having a great marriage as you do. Plus, I'll do a monthly Q&A session to make sure that you never get stuck or hung up on anything. It's literally everything you need to have a truly epic marriage. And the best part? It's freaking fun. You get all that and a whole bunch of other awesome stuff that I haven't mentioned yet for the price of a movie ticket. So go sign up right now at epicmarriageclub.com.